Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you to this video titled Identifying Opposites and Absolute Value of Rational Numbers. Now, you'll need to get out your math journal and a pencil, and I want you to understand first of all the goal of the video, and the goal of the video is for you to identify opposites and absolute value of rational numbers. So we need to think about a few things here first of all. First of all, what is a rational number? I know we talked about it yesterday in the video or the previous lesson, but a rational number is any number that can be written as a fraction or AB form. You can see right there where A and B are integers. Think about integers are whole numbers and their opposites, and B does not equal 0. So remember, with rational numbers, any number basically that we're going to deal with in 6th grade is going to be a rational number. Something that's not a rational number would be pi, because that's just a repeating decimal. You can't write that as a fraction. Also, some square roots would not be considered rational numbers, but for example, 3 1/4, positive 2, negative 8, 3.25 are all examples of rational numbers. Couple other things, couple other definitions that I want you to write down in your math journal. Opposites. Remember, opposites are the same distance from 0, but on different sides of 0. Okay, so think about a number line, same distance from 0, but on different sides of 0. And also, absolute value is the number's distance from 0 on a number line. Okay, so this gives you a good idea of the key vocabulary terms for this video, and I want you to write these down in your journal. And now let's take a look at meeting the goal for the video. So let's take a look at, first of all, the opposites of these different numbers. All right, so first of all, you can see I have -9. So when you think about -9 would be considered a rational number, and it's also considered an integer, but it's not a whole number because it's not a positive number there. Okay, so thinking about -9, and we're just thinking about the opposite of -9. All right, and the opposite -9 would be +9. Not too difficult there. Think about the opposite of 4/5. 4 5/10. 4 5/10. Think about the opposite, same distance from 0 on a number line, but on the opposite side of 0. So that would just be -4 5/10. Okay. -3 25/100. Opposite of that would be +3 25/100. -3 1/4. The opposite of that would be +3 1/4. So if you remember a key tip when we're going over opposites, basically the opposite of a number is an opposite of any negative number is going to be its positive form, and the opposite of any positive number is going to be the negative form of that number. So this is how you identify the opposites. Don't make it any more difficult than what it is. Just think about opposite of any negative number is going to be its positive. Opposite of any positive number is going to be its negative. So let's take a look at finding absolute value of rational numbers. Okay, so absolute value, think about the number's distance, the number's distance from 0 on a number line. So if we have -4 5/10, what we'll need to do first of all to help us out with this could be located on a number line. Now, number line, pretty simple there, but when you think about negatives, it goes a little bit backwards. Okay, so we're used to number lines going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but number lines, when you hit the negative, it's going to be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Okay, so do not be confused and think, okay, -4/5, then I have, -1 here, -2, -3, -4. That means it goes right here. Remember, it needs to go in between the -4 and -5. So I'm going to plot that right on my number line. And I can see that -4/5, I'm thinking about absolute value, is going to be just 4/5. Okay, remember, absolute value is always positive. It's never going to be a negative number. Okay, 1 and 1/2. When you think about absolute value of 1 and 1/2, first of all, we can plot it on a number line. There's 1 and there's a half there. I can see that it's a half and then another 1 to 0 on a number line. So absolute value of 1 and 1/2 is 1 and 1/2. And remember, whenever you see those lines, a line in front and a line in back of the number, that means they're asking for absolute value. Okay, so don't be confused by that. I'm going to erase this, and let's take a look at absolute value of positive 4. I can plot my point right here, and I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 units away from 0 on a number line. So absolute value of positive 4 is positive 4. Negative 3 and 1/4 for the last one here. We can see negative 3 and 1/4. The tricky part of this is going to be finding it on a number line. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. And remember, it's going to go a little bit over to the left. Okay, it would not go to the right of that because that would still be a 2, like in 3/4, for example. It's got to go a little to the left of 3 since it's a negative number. Negative 3 and 1/4, absolute value is going to be 3 and 1/4. So you can see absolute value of any number is just the positive form of that number. Okay, so negative 4/5 is 4/5. Positive 1 and 1/2, already a positive number, so it's 1 and 1/2. Positive 4, absolute value, positive 4. Negative 3 and 1/4, absolute value, positive 3 and 1/4. So remember, absolute value is basically just finding the positive form of those numbers. All right, now let's take a look at this idea in a real world situation. Okay, and what we are taking a look at is an account balance for these people's businesses. Now, right away, it's important to understand that having a negative balance for checking or your business is not a good thing, but it's just this is just a hypothetical situation to where we can figure out and think about absolute value and so on. Okay, so if we are taking a look at opposites, for example, okay, so let's say, for example, we have Sam, and we need to think about he has a balance of negative $45.23. We can see the opposite of that would just be $45.23 there. Okay. We can see Tim, his balance, $21.44. We can see the opposite of that is negative $21.44. Eric, we have a balance of negative $112.54. Opposite of that would be $112.54. And just remember, having a negative balance is not okay. This is just a hypothetical situation. Negative $45.67. We can see the opposite of that would be $45.67. And for Rick, $9.45. Opposite of that would be negative $9.45. Now let's take a look at some examples of absolute value when we're thinking about an account balance and those types of things. So if we were to take a look at which person has a balance that is the furthest distance away from 0, we could see that Eric has the balance that's the furthest distance away from 0, and we can see it's $112.54 away from a 0 balance. Okay, so we think about that with absolute value. Negative 112 and 54 hundredths, absolute value of that would be 112 and 54 hundredths. When we think about the balance that's closest to 0, okay, even though it's a positive number, we can see that Rick, a balance of $9.45 would be closest to 0 because it's 9 and 45 hundredths units away from 0 on a number line. So this concludes the video. on identifying opposites and absolute value of rational numbers. If you have any questions about this concept, please come and see me.